In this video, we will be implementing and testing GPOs which we created in the previous video. This is the part 2 of the group policy management tutorial video where we will be joining a computer to a domain. Before that, I will be showing how to create a Windows desktop virtual machine which we will join it to the domain, and also we will implement and test GPO. Before I show you how to implement and test GPOs, there are prerequisites for this activity. So please make sure you have these installed first before we implement GPOs. So you should have Windows Server installed, Active Directory tools installed with GPMC. You should have GPOs created already, and you should have a Windows Pro or Windows Enterprise, and it can be a virtual machine or a physical machine. So in order for us to test our GPOs, we should have test machines, whether it's virtual or physical, so we can test our GPOs that we created. We will be creating a virtual machine with Windows Enterprise to test the GPOs we created in the previous video. For this activity, we will need Windows Enterprise or Windows Pro. Windows Home will not work for this activity because it does not have the feature to join the domain, so only Windows Pro and Windows Enterprise have the ability to join the domain. So the first step is to create a virtual machine with Windows 10 or 11 Pro or Enterprise. I will be using Windows 10 Enterprise to join the domain. The link to download Windows 10 Enterprise will be in the description. I've already downloaded the Windows 10, so let's get started with this video. So go to VMware, go to Home tab, create a new virtual machine, click on Next, select I will install the operating system later, Next, select Microsoft Windows, and select Windows 10 64. Next, we're going to name this Windows 10 Enterprise. Click Next. We're going to give about 20 GB of storage. Next, and finish, and it should appear over here. Okay, so for the memory, we're going to assign about 8 GB. For processor, I'm going to give about 4 cores of processor. Okay, and now we're going to click on CD DVD SATA. Go here, use ISO image file, browse, go to the location of the folder where you downloaded your Windows 10 and select the Windows 10 ISO. Click open. Okay, and now we're going to power on the virtual machine. Click Next, install now. Accept, Next, custom Windows install, Next. Okay, and this should take quite a time, so once it's finished doing the installation, I'll be back. Okay, so over here what we're going to do is we're going to domain join instead, because we will be joining the domain later. For the name, let's just name it user 1. Next, no password. Accept. Okay, the Windows 10 has been installed, but still it looks like we have a performance issue. The resolution does not match. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna install. We're gonna go to VM, go and install VMware tools. Click on here. Okay, so click here and click on Run Setup 64. Click Yes. Click Next, Install. And after the installation, we shouldn't have any more performance issues, and the resolution will be back to normal. Finish, and let's restart the PC. Okay, we are inside of Windows 10. This is a trial version which will last for about like 90 days. After 90 days is up, you will have to re-download and install the virtual machine again. Okay, the next process will be to join a domain. Before we can join the domain, we have to set up our DNS server first, which we will be implementing that on our Windows Server 2022. And after that, we have to set up our own DNS on this client so it can connect and communicate with our domain controller that we have created in the previous video. Okay, the next step would be to set up our server. So go to your Windows Server virtual machine. And our first step is to set up our Windows Server with static IP address, because that's best practice. Servers should always have static IP address, so we should check first what our IP address and see what kind of IP address we have. So before that, what we're going to do is we're going to click here, right click on it, go to Open Network and Internet Settings, click on Change Adapter Options, right click, Properties, and then double click on Internet Protocol version 4 TCP IP v4. And what we're going to do is use the following IP address instead. This is because we want to give our server a static IP address, which is best practice, and also that is what we are going to use later on to connect our client machines for DNS server, because we are also going to assign this domain controller as our DNS server. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to command prompt, type in CMD, and we're going to type in ipconfig. Now this will display our IP address. We will be using this IP address as this one over here. We will be using this IP address as our static IP because it is easier than coming with our own subnet or special IP address. So let's use this instead because we know that it's already working. So let's go back to our TCP IP properties. Let's just move this thing around. Okay. Click on properties. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to copy our addresses from here to here. So for the DNS server, we are going to point our DNS server to this server, so we will be using a loopback address. The loopback address is a special IP address that routes network traffic back to the same device. It's commonly used for testing and troubleshooting network applications, so we will be using a loopback address of 127.0.0.1, and for the alternate DNS address we're going to be using Google's address, which is 8.8.8.8. So click on OK, click on OK. So now what we're going to do is let's make sure that we still have got network connectivity. Yeah, we still got like internet access here. So what we're going to do next is type in ipconfig to confirm that the IP address we put in is the same. So we haven't got any changes. Let's check if we have got our DNS address correct as well. Type in ipconfig-all. So, and we can see that we have got the loopback address of 127.0.0.1 and the Google's server's address of 8.8.8.8. Okay, so before we can add our Windows 10 Enterprise to our domain, we have to set up our DNS server correctly. Since this is a client server, we don't have to set up a static IP address for this one. So what we need to do is go to, right click here, open Network and Internet Settings, go to Change Adapter Options, right click, Properties, and double click on Internet Protocol version 4 TCP/IP v4. So as you can see that it is on DHCP, that's okay because end host or client machines usually have DHCP as IP address. What we need to set up here is a DNS server so it can talk to our Active Directory domain controller. So let's go back to our Windows server. And what we need to do is we need to copy this static IP address, which is 192.168.200.139, and use this as our DNS and Google server as our alternate DNS server. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Windows 10 Enterprise, and for the DNS we're going to type in 192.168 192.168.200 and .139. And the alternate DNS server address is going to be of Google, that is 8.8.8.8. Click on OK. Okay, now to test that we have connectivity with our domain controller, we will ping our domain controller. So what we're going to do is go over here, type in cmd, open command prompt, and ping 192.168.200.139. Okay, so we are getting a successful reply back. And also there's another way to check if that DNS server is working, is by NS lookup and followed by our domain name, which is blackrain.local, and it should resolve the DNS, and you should see that there is an IP address assigned to the domain. So yeah, here we go. So yeah, that's another way to check that you have configured the DNS server correctly. Okay, we are able to ping our domain controller, which is good signs, which means that we can communicate to it. So let's try now. Try to add our computer to the domain. So what we're going to do is right click here and click System. Go all the way down here. Select Rename this PC Advanced. And what we're going to do is click Change. Let's name this to comp01, and we're going to select a domain of blackrain.local. Okay, we're going to put our administrator password, username and password. Okay, so we have a welcome to blackrain.local domain. So this welcome prompt message means that we have successfully joined into our domain. Okay, so click on OK, and you have to restart the PC. Close, restart now. Okay, now what we're going to do now is, instead of using this user one, we're going to use the previously created username and password. So we previously created a username of h-wilson and the password of password1. Okay, so it has accepted it and it's on blackrain local domain, and we are logged in to our user. Okay, we will now be implementing the GPOs which we created in the previous video. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Windows Server Virtual Machine and we're going to open Group Policy Management. So click on Start, go to Windows Administrative Tools, go all the way down to Group Policy Management. So this is GPMC, Group Policy Management Console. So these are the group policy which we created previously, the password policy, restricted control panel. At the moment, it hasn't been applied yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to be implementing these group policy into the respective OUs. So basically, restrict control panel. This GPO is going to be a user policy. So we're going to click on it and we're going to drag it. Oops. Yeah, and we're going to put it in under the users. Click OK. The password policy is going to be a computer policy. So we're going to drag it and put in the computer policy. Okay, and drive mapping, that's going to be user. Disable user ESP devices, that's going to be computer. Okay, and desktop wallpaper, that's going to be user configuration as well. So we're going to drag it and put it over here. So if we expand it here, the group policy has been applied to their respective OUs. So another thing that we have to do after we have joined the domain, and this is kind of very important. Once we have joined the domain with a new computer, go to Active Directory Users and Computers. So let's go down here, Windows Administrative Tools, go to Active Directory Users and Computers. So when the computer joins a local domain, it will automatically be placed under the generic container of computers, which is this one over here, computer COMP01. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this to our respective OUs, which is going to be under Europe, and we're going to place it under computer and click it OK. And if you come over here, and it has been successfully placed over here. By default, Windows refreshes group policy settings every 90 minutes. So what we will do now is we're going to force the group policy settings, which we just implemented. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to CMD, command prompt, and we're going to type in GP update /force and hit enter. And it has been applied successfully. The next thing what we need to do is go to the client's computer, type in the password. Okay, and we need to restart this PC as well. Okay, so the PC has restarted, so let's put in the password. And now we can test our GPOs, which we just implemented. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to test our implemented GPOs, which we created in our previous video. So let's start with our very first GPO, which is the restrict control panels. As the name implies, it should deny access to this user to access the control panel. So let's try to open it. And it has denied access to open the control panel, so this GPO is clearly working. Next, we're going to test our password policy GPO. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Windows Server 2022 in the Active Directory Users and Computers, and in our users we're going to create a new user. Okay, what we're going to Jamie Fardy. Okay, I'm going to assign a password password 1. And what we're going to do is select this. User must change password at next logon. So when we log into this user account, we have to change the password. And in our password policy, there was a rule such as the password must be at least 12 characters long, and there was some password complexity rules. So let's check this. So it has been created. So let's go back to our Windows client and let's log out from here. Okay, other user. Okay, it says the user's password must be changed before signing in. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's try to create a password which is less than 8 characters long. Okay, it says unable to update the password. The value provided for the new password does not meet the length, complexity, or history requirements of the domain. So this password policy GPO is clearly working. So let's try to put in a proper password which is going to meet the requirements of the policy. Okay, it says changing password. And yes, your password has been changed. So it has accepted the password because the password rules matched. So our password policy is clearly working. Okay, so the next GPO we will be testing is the disable USB devices. So as the name implies, should not allow the computer or the user to access any USB devices. So what we're going to do is I'm going to plug in my USB pen drive. So let's click on this one, connect to a virtual machine, select Windows 10 Enterprise. Okay, so let's go to File Explorer. So let's go to this PC, and there is my removable disk. So let's try to run it, and the access is denied. So this GPO is clearly working. The next GPO we will be testing is the desktop wallpaper GPO. This GPO is clearly not working because our desktop wallpaper is blank, and the reason behind this is when we deployed the particular image file as wallpaper for our Windows 10 Enterprise PCs from our Windows Server 2022, we did not share the files. We did not share the particular image file with Windows 10 Enterprise PCs. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Windows Server 2022. We're going to go here to File Explorer, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a folder, and we're going to share this folder. Let's name this folder wallpaper. Okay. And what we're going to do is properties, sharing, advanced sharing, click on share this folder, apply, click on OK. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy this path, close. And what we're going to do is next we're going to select the wallpaper we want to use. So let's find a wallpaper. Let's use this as our wallpaper. Copy it. Let's go back and paste it here. Let's rename this. Let's rename this as 7. And let's go back here. And let's click on properties one more time, sharing, and let's copy the path of this shared folder. Okay. So what we're going to do now next is let's go to Group Policy Management. Let's delete the old policy for the wallpaper policy. Delete it. And let's right click on our domain and let's create a fresh new policy for our wallpaper. Policy, click on OK. Right click on it, edit, click on policies on the user's configuration, click on administrative templates, click on desktop, click on desktop, and what we're going to do is we're going to check on this one, desktop wallpaper, click on enable, and we're going to paste the location of our shared folder, and plus the file which we're going to use is 7.jpg. So we're going to apply fill, click on apply, click on OK, cancel this, and what we're going to do is we're going to implement this GPO to the users OU. So drag it to the users, click OK. So yeah, it has appeared under the users wallpaper policy. So what we're going to do next is we're going to open the CMD and force update this GPO. So gp update / force. Let's wait for it. Okay, it has successfully completed. Let's go to Windows 10 Enterprise PC. Click here. Let's restart it. Let's put in the password. Okay, let's see if it was applied to the other user. Sign out. And yeah, the wallpaper has been applied, so it's clearly been working, but there's a glitch in VMware. So anyways, our GPO is working. Okay, so that would be for this video. We implemented and successfully tested our GPOs using Windows 10 Enterprise that was joined in our domain. In the next video, we will be setting up network sharing on Windows Server. So see you in the next video.